everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Remote Control Sports. It is our mock draft episode. It's time for roll call. I'm John Sartori. We've got Jermaine Kelly.
What's up, guys?
Dylan Domang.
What's up?
And Richie Solares.
Hey.
Now, I promised. No howdy today, yeah.
No howdy. No howdy.
Okay, it's the weekend. So, yeah, we're a little more casual today.
Yeah, be formal.
Yeah. Next week, roll call will be a lot less predictable. We've got some new hosts coming on. We've got some new guests coming on, but that's all in the future, okay? We've got a lot to get into. We've all done a 32-pick mock draft. We've all gone through the first round of picks. We're all going to do that today. We want to give another shout-out to Derek Truong. He created the graphics for this week's show. Can't thank Derek enough for that. He's going to make it look fantastic. So let's get right into it. First overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals. I've got Joe Burrow.
I also have
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
Okay, great. Moving to second, Redskins, Chase Young.
Chase Young. I have Chase Young as well.
Okay.
Chase Young, too. I thought about going with the trade, but Chase Young.
Yeah, that's another thing. Two of us made trades. The other two did not, so that could be interesting. Third overall, I think this is where we'll start to get different. I've got the Detroit Lions, Derek Brown from Auburn.
Ooh, I haven't taking Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah?
Yep.
Dylan?
Oh, so okay. Yeah, I have Jeff Okudah as well. Just got to replace Darius Slay.
I have my first trade. The Lions have already shipped this trade. They've been talking to teams. I think this is where Miami gets their franchise quarterback. Tua goes at 3 to the Dolphins.
I don't think they need to do that, though. He's still there.
I think that a lot of teams are going to try and trade up, especially since the Lions have made it known that third spot's available. I think other teams are going to want Tua. I think the Dolphins be smart. They have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Package one of them and another second-round pick and get your franchise QB.
All right, so do you have the Lions moving to 5 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's the first surprise. I've got Derek Brown. I just feel like I had Jeff Okudah there at first, but I think that the pass or the run defense is more of a priority there. So I've got Derek Brown. Plus, I just don't like Jeff Okudah as much as a lot of other people do.
Derek Brown has definitely been trending up, and he's a lot higher in my draft than I know he started at. But I think just because of sending Darius Slay to the Eagles, and you have that pick there at 3, it's he's the best cornerback in the draft as it is. You might as well just go get him there.
Makes sense.
All right, moving on. 4th overall, New York Giants. I've got Jedrick Wills from Alabama.
Also have Jedrick Wills. Got to protect Daniel Jones this season.
Mm-hmm.
See, I originally put an offensive lineman there. But I wind up going with Isaiah Simmons. I think he's a guy that you can just plug and play. I do think you need to protect your franchise quarterback, which I see it going either way. I just don't see the Giants going pass up on Isaiah Simmons.
Now, you think he's that valuable, though? You think that the Giants need to risk protecting Daniel? I feel like that's got to be the priority.
Yeah, it should be. I just don't think they do it. I think because Isaiah Simmons is there, because you need to have run protection for Saquon Barkley, got to get him run. And you got to protect your new franchise quarterback. I just don't think they make that move there.
Okay, Richie?
I have the Chargers trading up 1 spot to take Justin Herbert. Again, I'm a believer.
Why?
Well, why did the Chargers need to, though?
They're going to get him.
Why did the Bears trade up 1 spot to get Mitch Trubisky?
We still don't know.
Justin Herbert is so much better of a prospect than Mitch Trubisky ever was. He has been so impressive with the interviews. He's got monster size, a great arm. He's so smart. Again, I'm a believer. If you think your franchise quarterback is there, take him. Don't be like the Browns and pass up Ben Roethlisberger or Carson Wentz. Take your guy.
But here's the argument there is all those other years, that team was going to take them. The Giants aren't going to take him. I don't know why you have to trade up for that.
It's not because the Giants are going to trade up. It's because there's going to be pressure from other teams that need quarterbacks to trade up. I know the Giants aren't going to take a quarterback. I don't think the Lions would take a quarterback. But again, it comes from pressure from other teams. We see it year after year.
If there's one team that trades out of the top 4, it's the Lions. I don't see the Giants trading out because they will either go get the best offensive lineman in the draft or they're going to go get the next best available player.
But the Giants in this instance, they're trading 2 picks down and then they get another second or third round pick out of it. I think it's smart. They still get a top 10 pick. They can still get almost any offense lineman they want and pick up more draft capital. It makes sense.
I'm excited to see who you pick with the Giants because I feel like their window, your argument for the Chargers window closing to get a quarterback, I think the Giants window to get a position that they need is going to run out of time by their next pick. All right, 5th overall pick. This is where I've got the first quarterback going. I've got the Dolphins taking Tua.
Second quarterback?
That's my first quarterback.
You got Joe Burrow.
Or Joe Burrow, I'm sorry. I don't count him just because it's obvious.
It's obvious, yeah.
The first, I guess, argumentative quarterback. You can make an argument for which quarterback goes second. That's what I meant by that. So I've got Tua to the Dolphins.
I also have Tua going to Miami.
Same.
This is going to be my biggest surprise. So the Dolphins traded up to get Tua. So the Lions are at 5.
Yes, you have the Lions here.
The Lions trade down again. The Jaguars trade up and take Isaiah Simmons. I think he's a perfect fit for that defense. The Lions, again, get plenty of draft capital. They could have 3 first-round picks next year, and they'll still get a top 10 guy. I think it's a beautiful move by the Lions. And Isaiah Simmons, like I said, a perfect fit in that Jacksonville defense.
I have to agree with that. I think that's a great pick. So you've got now the Lions moving to 9.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
They will not be moving again, by the way.
Okay.
Moving again.
I think that's very realistic if that first trade happens. I don't think that first trade happens, but Isaiah Simmons in Jacksonville would be fantastic. This 6th pick, it belongs to the Chargers. I think in all of our drafts still. No, you have a change, Richie.
The Giants are here for me now.
The Giants are okay. So this is the Chargers for myself, Jermaine, and Dylan, and it's the Giants for Richie. This is my first surprise. I've got Jordan Love here to the Chargers.
I could see that. A lot of people have been saying that. I don't disagree. I like Justin Herbert more, but that's very feasible.
Okay, let's go through the other Chargers picks before we get to the Giants. Jermaine.
For the Chargers, I have Justin Herbert going.
Okay.
I have Herbert as well.
At the end of the day, I like the potential with Love more.
I think
Love Herbert would be solid. I think Love could be really special.
I have Love in a certain spot, and we'll get to that later when he gets drafted in my draft. I have Herbert here just because I think Tyrod actually will start in the first maybe 2 games of the season, and then I think it's Herbert's team.
I mean, and that's the other thing. I think Tyrod Taylor could be a serviceable starter.
Oh, I agree.
But
I think if you draft a quarterback in the top 10, your leash is very short if you're Tyrod. Oh, you have no room for error.
I think Love is very talented, but we all know he's a project. I just don't see it being feasible to take him in the top 10. I have him in the first round later, just not in the top 10.
All right, who do you have the Giants taking here?
My best offensive lineman on my draft board is Andrew Thomas from Georgia. I love him. I think he's super solid. A lot of good offensive line talent right here, but I think Andrew Thomas is the best one.
All right, so you have Thomas going. Wow, so he's your first offensive lineman off the board. That's a unpopular opinion.
I know.
Wow. All right, and I think it's a good pick. I do.
I think whoever they go with at whatever pick they have, it's not a bad pick because I mean there's a lot of talent there at the tackle position.
All right, let's move to 7th overall. We all have the Panthers here. The Carolina Panthers. This is where I've got Jeff Okudah going. I think the Panthers have always had success with Ohio State defensive backs. I think Okudah goes there, and I think it's a good fit.
I have the Panthers taking Isaiah Simmons, a guy who you can attempt to replace Luke Kuechly. He's really flexible on defense, so I have the Panthers taking Isaiah Simmons.
This is where I have Derek Brown going to.
Yeah, me as well. I think Derek Brown's a great fit here.
Okay. So we've got one more pick before we take our first break. The Cardinals. I originally had this player going 3rd overall, and then I changed it up. this is going to wind up being a steal if it works out the way that I think it will. This is where I've got Isaiah Simmons going. I think he really transforms that defense.
For Arizona, I have Derek Brown going there.
I have Tristan Wirfs. I think you got Kyler Murray now. You got your franchise quarterback. You got a loaded offense. You need protection, and you just need a good offensive lineman. I think that's my first offensive lineman taken.
Mhm.
I also have Tristan Wirfs. I think he's the most versatile out of all the offensive linemen in this draft. You can bump him inside the guard if you want, keep him at tackle. It makes sense. Protect Kyler Murray.
When I was going through this, I said you have to protect Kyler Murray. I know that that's the obvious choice, but with Isaiah Simmons still being there, if he is, which obviously I'm alone with thinking he will be, I just think there's greater needs for the other 7 teams ahead of them. You can't pass him up if he's there. That's why I took him over an offensive lineman. So that's our first 8 picks. We've got a lot of different opinions here. This is a question. We're going to do one question every 8 picks. I want to know who you think the best quarterback is 5 years from now following this draft class. Not necessarily who the most talented guy is. Who do you think is going to wind up having the best first 5 years of their career?
I would probably have to go with probably Justin Herbert. If you could put him in I think all of these guys have like a lot of potential, and like if you put any of these guys in the right system, they'll have like a promising career. But I'm gonna go with Justin Herbert.
And where'd you have him going?
To the Chargers.
Okay, the Chargers. All right, Dylan?
I'm going to go with, it's obvious, but I'm going to go with Joe Burrow just because he's in there. He gets placed in a pretty good offense, in my opinion. You got A.J. Green, you got Tyler Boyd, you got John Ross, who actually came along pretty well last year. You got Joe Mixon, who not only could run the ball really well, but catch a lot out the backfield, which is what Joe Burrow relies on, especially how he had Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. So I think he's going to fit really well in that offense. And it's not saying anything against Justin Herbert or Tua. I think Tua is a guy that can throw 4,300 to 4,700 yards a year. But I also think he's going to miss a lot of time with different injuries come up in his career. And I think Justin Herbert, once he gets in a system that stays consistent with a consistent offensive coordinator and everything, I think he's going to learn that system very well. He just needs to get comfortable in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Richie?
I think it's Tua. I think he is the most well-rounded quarterback. He's the most versatile. He can do everything. To me, he's the most electric player in this draft, even more so than Joe Burrow. Even though I still have Joe Burrow going at 1, I just love everything about Tua. The big question is the injury, but he's been able to recover from all of these injuries successfully. I think that, he might get a red shirt first year, take it easy, but as he learns and when he starts, he's just going to be electric.
Yeah, I got Tua as well, even with injuries. I don't think he plays a full season ever in his career, but I think he's still just, when he does play, going to be phenomenal. All right, let's move in to the 9th overall pick. The 9th overall pick belongs to the Jaguars. I've got them going with the defensive tackle. I've got Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina there.
I also have the Jaguars going Javon Kinlaw.
See, and I want to go defense because that's their big move. The Jags love to go defense, especially in their first round, just build around defense. I think you got to build around offense. I think you need protection for Gardner Minshew. And I got them taking the offensive tackle from Louisville, Mekhi Becton.
Okay.
Now, remember, I have the Lions at number 9.
Yeah, see, they moved down twice.
And similar to Marshawn Lattimore falling in the draft a couple years, if you think about it, I still have Jeffrey Okudah on my board, and he goes here. The Lions get plenty of draft capital, one of the best defensive players in this draft, star cornerback. It's a perfect setup for the Detroit Lions here.
If that does work out, that's a lot of people have the Lions taking it 3rd overall. So if that does work out, that would be insane.
Yep.
If that actually does wind up happening. Let's move to number 10. The Browns are picking here. I've got Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. Richie, you had him going as your first lineman. He's my 2nd lineman. I've got him going to the Browns.
I have the Browns taking Mekhi Becton. You got to protect Baker Mayfield this season.
I have my 3rd straight offensive lineman getting taken off the board here with Jedrick Willis.
I also have Jedrick Willis going here.
I just think that the chemistry, I think that the Browns are going to get back to feeding Nick Chubb next year. And when you've got the chemistry there with Chubb and Thomas, I think that could be really special. I don't think they try to throw it 40 times with Baker Mayfield, so I go with a more of a run blocker than a pass blocker there with Thomas. All right, let's move to the Jets. This is my second straight offensive lineman. This was a guy that I thought would come off my board earlier, but he wound up staying for a while. Tristan Wirfs. I've got the Jets taking Tristan Wirfs.
Also have the Jets taking Tristan Wirfs.
See, I got Jerry Jeudy here, and a lot of people have them taking CeeDee Lamb. Jerry Judy's the first receiver coming off the board. You got to replace a deep threat. They lost Robert Anderson to free agency, so I think Jerry Jeudy fits perfectly with them.
I have CeeDee Lamb going here, and really, you could take either of these receivers and be in a great position. Jerry Jeudy is my personal favorite, but CeeDee Lamb can just do everything. I think he's valued a little bit higher than Jerry Jeudy.
I just don't think that he is a wide receiver one. That's the issue. I think he's going to be more of a weapon. I don't think he's can be a primary target, and that is a good segue into my 12th overall pick. I've got the Raiders taking Jerry Jeudy as the first wide receiver.
Yeah, I also have Jerry Jeudy going to Vegas. I think he'd fit really well in a John Gruden offense.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is where I have CeeDee Lamb going.
Okay.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah. I think that he's the replacement for Amari Cooper that the Raiders have been wanting. He's very, very similar to Amari Cooper in that retrospect. All right, so now we move to 13th overall. This was a tough one for me. This is where the 49ers picked. This was not a position that was an overwhelming need for them, but with Emmanuel Sanders going to New Orleans, I've got them replacing him with CeeDee Lamb.
I have the same thing. I got CeeDee
Gosh,
Lamb.
man, you're stealing from me, man. It's like 10 in a row.
Yeah, dude, I got CeeDee Lamb going to San Francisco just to, and for the sole reason to replace Emmanuel Sanders. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll break all this up. See, this is a guy that's dropped. I don't know if everyone has him taken already. The 49ers got this pick from trading DeForest Buckner to Indianapolis. Replace DeForest Buckner with Javon Kinlaw.
I've got the exact same pick. I think I know receivers in need, but Javon Kinlaw at this point, that's a great pickup for them.
I just thought when you make a Super Bowl, there's not much you have to do except add talent. I think that's what they decide to go with is just add a playmaker.
Well, I think they'll still have that 31st pick. This is a pretty deep receiver class. I think that there's a lot of talent there. They could take someone with that 31st pick. I just think right now you take the best player on the board, and that's Javon Kinlaw.
All right, moving to 14th overall, the Buccaneers. Of the four big quarterbacks, there's one left for me. I think he's Tom Brady's replacement. Once he retires, Justin Herbert to the Bucs.
Ooh.
For the Buccaneers, I have Andrew Thomas going there just to protect Tom Brady now.
See, I struggle with it so much. I wanted to take a running back here with the Buccaneers so bad. But at 14 is way too high to take a running back, in my opinion. I don't think any running back should be taken until the second round if the Buccaneers go that route. So same with Jermaine, I have them protecting Tom Brady with Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite running back in this class is Jonathan Taylor, but that's still just too high. I've got Mekhi Becton going here, a nice, big monster of a human being to protect Tom Brady. You got to solidify that line.
How good would Jonathan Taylor be there, though? He'd be awesome.
He'd be amazing.
Yeah,
I think they can still get him in the second round.
Yeah, I agree. All right. A lot of this guy is off a lot of your guys' boards. I think Drew Lock. A lot of people are expecting a big season from him next year. I really don't know what to expect yet, but I've got Mekhi Becton of the Broncos at 15.
I have the Broncos going Kenneth Murray to put on the other side of Von Miller. So
wow. Okay, that's really good.
Wow, that's a really good pick.
He's criminally underrated in my opinion.
Yes, I understand.
He's a machine.
I'm kind of sad he's falling to 24, but yeah, I don't see him dropping to.
That's the highest I've seen him going too in mock drafts. 15. I've seen one person have him at 18, but that's a good pick. I like that.
I love that pick, Jermaine. Dylan, who do you have?
So I have the Broncos helping out Drew Lock here. Go and play alongside Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's a bigger receiver. Go get a guy with speed. So I got them taking Henry Ruggs here.
Oh, okay.
I have Henry Ruggs as well. Take the top off that defense.
Okay. So Falcons pick next. This is the last pick before we get into another break for discussion. The Falcons. This was a really tough pick. I thought about trading it out, but this is the second edge rusher I have going off the board. I've got AJ Espenza out of Iowa. I'd never heard of him before we did this, but he apparently is well regarded. I've got the Falcons going here and filling a need for an edge rusher.
I have the Falcons going Caleb Jason out of LSU.
Okay.
They need so much help in that secondary, so I got them taking C.J. Henderson.
Stop taking my picks. C.J. Henderson again. They need a lot of help all around, but I think C.J. Henderson is a great guy to fill that secondary role. So
they can draft anyone on defense, and it would work for them. But I think C.J. Henderson, they need a corner.
All right. With that, we are halfway through the mock draft already. Let's take a look at some of our picks as we discuss this. I want everybody to go around. What has been the biggest surprise going through this and picking players? Who has fallen the most for you? Who has been the highest pick that you didn't think would be so far? Jermaine, I'll start with you.
Wait, you surprises from your drafts or my draft?
From your draft, from personally selecting this when you were going through it and you put somebody in that you were surprised was going that high in your draft or was falling that low in yours?
I didn't really expect Mekhi Becton to fall to 10. That's like basically my only surprise. So yeah.
I'm gonna go with Javon Kinlaw. I think he is such a very good talent coming out of South Carolina, and I think if the Niners get him, that just makes the defense even scarier because you're like, oh, they're trading to Forrest Buckner. The defense will get a little weaker, not that much, but a little weaker, and then they go and replace him back with another young raw talent come out of college. That's my biggest surprise.
I'd say Jeffrey Okudah falling to 9. I would have never imagined that. I didn't have him going anywhere past 3 in any of my other mock drafts. But when I looked at it, all those teams I had trading up, they were filling big-time needs. And secondary cornerbacks, to me, are really a luxury, a shutdown corner. So it hurt to have him fall there. But, again, it happened to Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, mine's Isaiah Simmons. He's going to get picked before 8. I'd be shocked if he doesn't, but those teams that pick him, they're not filling an absolute need. I think that they're reaching a bit just with the monster he is physically. I don't think it's a smart move for any of those first 7 teams to pick him. All right, so we're halfway through it. Let's get to the second half. Let's go 17th overall, the Dallas Cowboys. I've got them picking out of a school that they have had poor success with in the past at this position. LSU cornerback Christian Fulton. I've got him going to the Cowboys.
I got C.J. Henderson going to the Cowboys.
Okay. You see, I just don't think Henderson is as talented as Fulton. I got to go Fulton there over Henderson.
I think Fulton's overrated, and I just don't believe him. Look, I watched him play at Rummel, but I wouldn't put him nearly that high.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, that's in high school. You watched him play in high school. I don't know how many people are following this, but that's how I feel about the Florida kid. I just think he's overrated. Dylan.
Yeah, I think Christian Fulton, we'll see later on, but he's my fourth cornerback actually taken. So he's down there. I got Caleb Chase in here. Okay.
I thought about that one. Richie, who you got?
Dylan said it again.
But that one's been really common.
I'm going to start going to you first.
That one's been really common and consistent throughout a lot of different analysts' mock drafts. So
look, they needed a pass rush. He's the best pass rusher left on the board. I have him higher than AJ Epinesa, so it makes sense.
Richie, I guarantee from here on out we're not the same.
Okay.
And mine is mine. This is where it kind of starts going different.
This is where Richie's Google Doc cut off, and Dylan wasn't allowed to copy anymore. All right. Let's move to 18th overall. The Dolphins, I think that Henry Ruggs falls to them. I think Tua gets his college target there.
I have the same thing. I have Henry Ruggs going to Miami.
We'll let Richie go first.
Yeah, Richie, go ahead.
It's going to be different. I think the Dolphins made a mistake trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick. So to fill that role at safety, I go with Xavier McKinney.
I like that pick.
I have a guy that, and I had to do a lot more research on this guy. I have Austin Jackson, who's an offensive lineman out of USC. He is a very, very, very raw talent, and that is the biggest knock on him. Is last year he donated some bone marrow, I think, to one of his family members, and because of that, he was not as strong this past season at USC. So that's why he did not rise higher to go along with the other offensive linemen we had earlier in the draft. But I think Miami believes in him enough to develop, get his strength back, develop into the offensive lineman that they need to protect Tua, their new franchise quarterback.
All right, let's move to the Raiders. I've got K'Lavon Chaisson. How do you pronounce his first name?
Calebon.
I've got K'Lavon Chaisson there. I think he's a perfect fit for John Gruden.
I thought about this for a second. At first, I had Xavier McKinney, but then I thought about it. Like last draft, they got Jonathan Abram, but he got hurt early in the season. So this my pick now is AJ Terrell out of Clemson.
Okay, he wasn't anywhere near the first round for me.
Yeah, after watching the national championship, I would have thought the same thing. He still is in my first round, but he did not look good at the national championship.
Yeah, he did.
Richie, go ahead.
Yeah.
Dylan, you can go ahead. We're not. It's not anymore. Go ahead.
I have Kenneth Murray here.
God dang it, Dylan! Are you kidding me?
You have Kenneth Murray?
I think he's a great fit for the Raiders. They need help on defense.
Who did you think I was going to take there?
I don't know, but I wasn't expecting Kenneth Murray. I really wasn't. I thought he was off your board already.
Nope.
God darn it.
All right. Well, maybe things have not changed. Jermaine and I have.
This is where it picked back up. That's where I found the Google Doc again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just that one pick.
She shared it with me.
Moving to the Jaguars, you guys all talked about having to protect Gardner Minshew. It worked out that Andrew Jackson is still on the board, and I think he will be in real life here too. I think that a lot of people just don't see him going this high, but he was the best tackle left here. I got the Jaguars taking Andrew Jackson out of USC at 20.
And 20, I got the Jaguars taking Trevon Diggs. So yeah, at Alabama.
Okay.
Richie.
This is where I have AJ Terrell going. I think they need secondary help.
Just move on.
All right, AJ Terrell for Dylan.
Yep.
Dylan.
I'm not kidding, man.
You've got to be kidding me. I mean, how?
I don't know. You and I have not talked about this previously.
No, we haven't. This is ridiculous.
All right, at 21, this is a pick that I think makes the Eagles a really fun secondary. They're going to have two of the best names in the secondary in the NFL. They've already got Darius Slay. I think they add Trevon Diggs to the other side at 21.
I think the Eagles are going to go wide receiver since they were so weak and beat up, and I think they're going to take Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Yep.
Jefferson.
Yep.
He's another one. I don't have him in the first round.
Wow.
Well,
it's not a level of his skill. I think it's more so that a lot of teams need linemen on both sides of the ball.
But the Eagles desperately need a receiver. They have for years. I mean, they still don't have a solidified number one receiver. I think Justin Jefferson, with all his talent, when he ran that 40 time in the combine, he shot up boards. He wasn't in my first round until that combine. I think he's the best receiver on the board right here.
All right. Let's move to 22. This was my first trade. So I think the Seahawks trade up. They need an edge rusher because Jadeveon Clowney, there's no way he stays there. I think they take Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State there. That's a trade from the Seahawks for the Seahawks to get the Vikings pick there.
I would like him going offensive line. I'm taking Austin Jackson, a run-heavy offense. I think he could help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've got T. Higgins going here. I think he's a winner. They need another receiver. I like T. Higgins.
I'm sick of this.
You have T. Higgins as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just mute Dylan the rest of the show. We'll mute Richie. We'll just go back and forth. All right. So Dylan, you get to pick first next time.
Yeah.
All right. This was another trade I have. I actually had 3 trades. I didn't know this. So the Chiefs originally picking last. I have them. This isn't more about the Chiefs needing someone. It's about the Patriots not needing anyone at 23. So I've got the Patriots trading this pick to the Chiefs. I think they go for C.J. Henderson.
Okay.
We're at the 23. Okay. Patriots, I have them taking Jordan Love, actually. So, yeah.
That's right. He's still on the board there.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I also have Jordan Love going here.
See, I don't now. This is completely different. Now, I sat here because I'm a big Patriots fan. I sat here just contemplating what are they going to do, and there are so many different draft picks that they can go with. I thought about safety. I thought about even a linebacker to go alongside. The line because we lost Kyle Van Noy. I was thinking about that. But I want to go with AJ Epinesa here, the defensive end from Iowa. I think he's a good pass rusher. I think that's something that has been lacking from that defensive line position from the Patriots, and I think he adds to it.
I think that's a great pick there. The reason I wound up trading it was I really think the Patriots are going to try to go quarterback as early as possible. The best quarterback I had left was Jacob Eason. They can wait for him.
I think they either go Eason or I think Eason, but I think it waits the second round too.
Yeah. All right, let's move to 24. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, I think Belichick sees the raw talent in Jordan Love and kind of makes that connection to Tom Brady that maybe he's unrated, a lot of untapped potential. I think he thinks he can work a lot with him.
I'm interested to see what happens there. I have no idea what happens there. All right, let's move to the Saints. This is a pick. This is one of the more intriguing picks of the first round because the Saints could go a number of ways. I've got a guy. I've got Laviska Shenault out of Colorado. Now, I do think that T. Higgins is a better wide receiver, but I think what Laviska Shenault brings to the table is more of a complementary role. You don't need a wide receiver one. You've got Mike Thomas. So I think that's why you go Shenault here.
I got the Saints and Patrick Queen, and basically because Alex Anzalone, last 2 seasons have been going down with season-ending injuries. AJ Klein is gone, and what's his name? Kiko Alonso is getting older. So I think Patrick Queen will fit really well in a Dennis Allen defense. He could cover sideline to sideline. Yeah, and he would complement Demario Davis really well. So I'm going Patrick Queen.
I really miss Kiko Alonso back in Miami, man. He was so much fun. Dylan, go ahead.
This is where I have actually Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama. I think, Von Bell goes out. I think you will replace him with Xavier McKinney. It was so hard to pick for the Saints because it's like, what is an obvious need that they have? And it's not that obvious. I think obviously with a deep receiving class, I think you can go get another one later on. That's good. So that's why I have McKinney here.
Originally, I had them taking Laviska Shenault. I thought he was the best fit for him, but after signing Emmanuel Sanders, you got to look at other needs. It's secondary and linebackers, and really linebacker wins out because of what Jermaine said. Kiko Alonso, Alex Anzalone, that's all you've got. Take Patrick Queen. He's the best linebacker on the board.
All right, so we are 3/4 of the way through now. We've got 8 picks left. I want to talk about some guys that did not make your first round that you were surprised with, that you were surprised are not on the 32, one of the 32 first picks in your draft. Jermaine, I'll start with you.
I got Christian Fulton. He's not there at all.
Okay.
And I just wasn't. I watched a lot of LSU games this season, and I watched a lot with Dylan, and I just wasn't really impressed with what I saw. And I think there's a lot of better corners in this draft. So
I'm gonna go with Grant Delpit. I did not have Grant Delpit in my first round. That surprised me a lot because, and I kept looking back all through my mock draft, thinking where could I even place him in? Where could I say, oh, they don't need this guy here in this round? They could wait for the second round and put Grant Delpit in. I just couldn't find it. I think he's a playmaker. I think he's a steal in the second round. I think anybody that gets him in the second round is a steal because of same thing was talking about Tyrann Mathieu. I don't think he's the player Matthew is, but I think he can play the same role that Matthew plays.
I think there are a lot of talented running backs in this draft class, and I don't have any of them going in the first round. And I think it's criminal, but that's the way it goes. But out of all of them, I already touched on it. To me, Jonathan Taylor is a sure shot. I mean, he can do everything. He's shown that he can take the brunt of the load. He's amazing. I love Jonathan Taylor. It hurts knowing that he's not in the first round, but I don't believe he'll go.
Richie, before I get into mine, I want to pose this question to you. If there was a player that didn't work out that I would compare Jonathan Taylor to, is Ryan Matthews. I think that they are very similar. Do you think that there is the chance of that happening?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's hard to say. They're
Yeah.
similar, but I think Matthews just got burnt out on the Chargers with a couple other good running backs, and that's where you saw Mike Tolbert kind of come in and take some carries away from him. It depends on where he wants to go, but I look at someone like Le'Veon Bell, who can just do everything, who took so many carries. I think that's more of a comparison, a better comparison to Jonathan Taylor.
Who was that guy for the? He was with the Chargers. He was LaDainian Tomlinson's backup. He went to the
Turner?
Falcons. Huge dude. Who
Michael
was it?
Turner.
Michael Turner. Miss him, man. He was fun. All right, let's move in. We are 3/4 of the way through already. We are going to go to our final 8 picks. Make sure you're following us on social media. Remote C Sports on Twitter, Remote Control Sports on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can also listen to the show on our Anchor page and on Spotify. If you've watched any of our episodes, please subscribe. It helps us out so much. It's right down there. Subscribe. So let's get into our final 8 picks. The first one was from the Vikings. This one was originally the 22nd overall pick. I have them moving to 25. Or actually, no, they already had this 25th pick. It's the 27th pick that they traded. So at 25, I've got them going defensive tackle. I've got Ross Blacklock from TCU.
I got the Vikings taking CJ Gaines just to replace Stephon Diggs when they traded him this offseason. So yeah.
I got the Vikings going Christian Fulton here. I think he's the 4th cornerback taken.
Really?
That's what you have. That's the place you have him.
Christian Fulton.
All right, Richie, you get to pick first. Next time.
I swear.
We had no.
Not seen each other's list. We're not playing this game. It's just happening.
We'll see about that. All right, 26th pick. This is the Dolphins again. If they mess up this draft, then there's something wrong. I mean, they are loaded with picks. This was tough for me. I have them going with the edge rusher. I had them going with the kid out of Wisconsin. His name's Bach. What's it? I forget his last name.
Zach Bond.
Zach Bond?
Yes, I had them going with him. But at the end of the day, I think this kid is a better fit. I got Jonathan Greener. He played at Florida. I think he's a better fit for them. That's why I have them going with him.
I have the Dolphins going DeAndre Swift. They've addressed in this draft so far. They've addressed the wide receiver with Henry Ruggs and quarterback with Tua. So now get DeAndre Swift to complement all of that.
You think that I get that you're going more of a situational thing, but you don't think J.K. Dobbins could do that for him?
Nah, I like DeAndre Swift, and I have Jonathan Taylor down there too. But I'm a big fan of DeAndre Swift. So yeah.
Well, yeah, Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre. I mean, that's two opposite ends of the spectrum. I feel like J.K. Dobbins could do what you need DeAndre Swift to do.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm trying to see how I'm trying to explain this. I feel like that with this not offensive line, DeAndre Swift, what he did at Georgia this season, and you didn't really see that much against LSU, but it's hard for me I can't explain it. But I'm just a bigger fan of DeAndre Swift. I watch more of him. Only saw J.K. Dobbins play in some of their bigger games that were televised. So yeah.
All right, fair enough. Richie, I'll start with you this time.
He's already gone in Dylan's draft, but it's funny. I do have the Dolphins taking Austin Jackson. I have him going to the Dolphins just later.
I have DeAndre Swift here. I have DeAndre Swift, and honestly, to be honest with you, my top 2 running backs in the draft were Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. I think J.K. Dobbins was the 3rd rated, in my opinion, and I just see the Dolphins taking Swift over Dobbins. I think there's been more talk, there's been more hype around NFL and other analysts that say that Swift is just a better overall running back and a better fit for that system than any of the other running backs. Now, Dobbins is
I loved him in college. I don't see him being a very good NFL running back.
I think he just fits with them, fits what they're trying to do, fits the Kenyon Drake style that they had before.
Yeah, and he was awful there.
They were all bad.
That's the argument I have for that, is because I knew you were going to go ahead and say that he fits that Kenyon Drake. He's the replacement for Kenyon Drake. You don't need a Kenyon Drake replacement. They didn't want him.
Yeah, but they need someone. I just don't see Dobbins going first round, and I see the Dolphins going to address the running back position because that's a position that needs to be addressed in their system.
And see, I get that, but again, the Dolphins will draft at 5 in the second round if they don't trade that pick away. These running backs are going to last, so they could still potentially get Swift, Dobbins, or Jonathan Taylor, or even Clyde Edwards-Helaire at that 5th spot in the second round. There's still a lot of options for them. I think it's just reaching a little bit for them.
All right, this 27th pick belongs to the Seahawks. Again, I have the Vikings here because the Seahawks traded up in mine. I think this pick was already made earlier with the Vikings' original pick. I have T. Higgins falling to the Vikings here to replace Stephon Diggs.
At 27, I got the Seahawks going offensive line and taking Joshua Jones.
Where is he from?
Iowa. But, yeah.
I've never heard of him. Who is this? Joshua Jones?
Yeah.
I've
never heard of him.
I've seen him rated, and early.
How is Iowa not better? They have 2 first-round offensive linemen.
Yeah, but no quarterback.
Nate, you put some respect on Nate Stanley's name.
No.
They would. Minnesota was 10-2 or whatever they were. Iowa should have been better. Shame on Iowa. God.
Richard, who you got?
Yetur Gross-Matos. John already made this pick with the Seahawks. I just think he falls to them here. Again, it's all about replacing Jadeveon Clowney.
See, I have a pass rusher as well, but I have him coming from the defensive tackle spot. This is where I have Ross Blacklock coming in.
All right. So we are on pick number 28 now. This is going to be the steal of the draft if it winds up being this way. It didn't work out in any of yours like this. No one really needed a linebacker, though, so this is where the first linebacker goes. I've got the Ravens taking Kenneth Murray.
Ooh.
You think he drops that far?
I don't. But when I looked at team needs for everyone, linebacker was not an overwhelming need for really any team until I got to the Ravens. So that's why I've got Kenneth Murray here.
Giant steal, if that happens.
Yeah, if it does. I don't care where he goes, he's going to lead rookies in tackles. He's a machine.
I struggled with this pick because I didn't really think of what the Ravens needed, but ultimately I think they're going to go defense and go with Zach Bond out of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I have Patrick Queen because I had Kenneth Murray going earlier in the draft to the Raiders. So I think, like you said, the same reason they need a linebacker, and I think the next best available is Patrick Queen.
I'm also going with Zach Bond. He reminds me a lot of Leighton Van Der Esch. A lot of talent, a lot of grit, a lot of energy. I think it's a great pick for the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Ravens are set up. I mean, it's easy to say that when they had the best record or one of the best records in the NFL last year, but I think that they're set up to mess this up the easiest. I don't know. Even if they get a bad pick, they're fine, is what I'm trying to say. There's really no risk at all with the Ravens draft. All right, the Titans. This was a tough one. I think a lot of people are going to go offensive line here. I thought all the good offensive linemen were taken off the board, except Joshua Jones, who I heard of 10 seconds ago. So I've got Xavier McKinney here.
I have the Titans actually going running back and going Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh.
For what?
Please explain. Yeah, please explain that one.
Please explain. Well, let's see. Let me try to draw a comparison. I don't want to say. Okay, I'll just say Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Jonathan Taylor. What's his face? Derrick Henry.
But they're the same style of running back.
I mean, they take carries off of Derrick Henry, I guess, but do you really want to do that? Unless he's healthy? I don't know.
He's proven that he doesn't need to be spelled. I get the thought process there, but you're not. If you're the Titans, you're not in a. I would try to do something that you don't need to give him the ball 50 times a game to win. I would think that that's not a strategy you want to carry into next year.
Yeah, I'm not
running it every play.
I'm not really big on one running back getting a ton of carries every game, like how Le'Veon Bell used to do, or like they do with Saquon Barkley. I'm not a big fan of that, so I think Jonathan Taylor would be a good pick.
All right, Dylan.
See, I have kind of the opposite mindset of to take load off Derrick Henry, get more weapons for Ryan Tannehill, and that's where I have Brandon Ayuk going. I don't think Corey Davis has worked out and panned out exactly the way they kind of wanted him to. I think they found someone really good last year with AJ Brown, and I think you get another receiver that goes right with Tannehill just to take that load off. You're paying Tannehill a lot of money. Go get him targets.
And where is he from?
Arizona State.
Okay, yeah.
The reason the Titans got to the AFC Conference Championship was Derrick Henry and the defense. They lost the key part of that defense. Cameron Wake retired. So I think AJ Epineza is a good replacement. Falling this far, he's a good replacement for Cameron Wake, and that defense stays intact.
That would be an absolute steal.
He's a steal if he drops that far.
Yeah. All right, final 3 picks here. Packers first. I'm a guy who is always believed the Packers are an overrated receiving core. I think they need another weapon. I've got Jalen Reagor kind of coming out of nowhere there to the Packers.
I'm also going to go receiver, and I think they're going to take Laviska Shenault.
That would be big.
I had receiver for a long time, and this is the last team that I had that I changed up. This is where I have the surprise. So where I have Jordan Love going. Because I think they're going to do exactly what they did with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got picked in the first round when they drafted him. I think Jordan Love is a guy that they know is a very raw talent. I think that's a guy that can go and build and learn under Aaron Rodgers for a few years, and then take over when it's his time.
I really like that pick. I think that is a very, very smart pick if that's what they end up doing. I don't have Jordan Love going there, obviously. I have them taking Laviska Shenault as well. I think their receiving game has to get better, and Laviska is just great. But I really like that Jordan Love pick.
All right, let's move. We got 2 picks left. 49ers at 31 overall. I think the 49ers become almost unstoppable defensively. Grant Delpit.
Okay. I have him going replace DeForest Buckner and going Ross Blaylock with that 31st pick. Blacklock, I'm sorry.
This is where I have Laviska Shenault. I didn't. I made them both. I made to have defensive pick earlier with Kinlaw, and then now I think they go get the receiver here.
And I also have Grant Delpit going here. I think that shores up their secondary, and they are just perfect. And that with having taken Javon Kinlaw earlier at 13, that defense is monstrous.
It's an honor whenever I get the same pick as Richie, because I feel like Richie is going to be the closest to any of us with all this, because all he watches is the NFL Network.
So I feel good then.
Which, by the way, we are going to do that for a show after the draft. We are going to compare the first round to all of our picks.
Sounds good. I'm really scared with the trades I made, though.
Yeah, I didn't make any trades, so I know that's out. That's out.
Last pick. This is everyone is the Chiefs except for me. I've got the Patriots here. They traded down from 23 to 32. I know that they've got a lot of talent at the running back position, but I think they go Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a generational talent at that position. I've got them taking him here at 32.
I have the Chiefs going O-line and getting a center, Cesar Ruiz, out of Michigan.
This is where I have Zach Bond going.
Great pick.
I've got Trevon Diggs going there. Put him on the other side of Kendall Fuller.
I just don't. I know I've got him going earlier in my draft. I watched a lot of Trevon Diggs this year. I don't think he's, especially not for the Patriots. I just think he's a little too risky for the Patriots. Even though I saw they have been awful at the draft recently, which is shocking.
This is the Chiefs from me.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I think I took him with the Chiefs. No, I took C.J. Henderson.
But
that's
right. Corner. Yeah.
Not everything revolves around me. All right. Well, let's take one more look at all of our picks. Again, we want to thank Derek Truong for all he's done for the show. He's going to continue doing things for the show. He is just fantastic. One of these days, I'm going to get his social media so we can give him a shout out. If you're watching, please hit that subscribe button. We've got new shows. We're filming every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. This upcoming week, we've got some new hosts coming on. We've got some new guests coming on. It's going to be a really fun week. But thanks for checking out our mock draft 2020. And make sure you're following us on social media as well. Remote C Sports on Twitter, Remote Control Sports on Instagram. We're on Facebook. And if you want to listen to the show, you can do so on our Anchor page and our Spotify page. Final thoughts, guys. Anything you want to add? Should be a fun draft. I'm excited. Yeah, I've heard that this is going to be an absolute disaster, and I hope it will be, this virtual draft.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. A small discussion. What do you guys think about this virtual draft? Like, I just want to know how they're going to broadcast it television wise. It's going to be so different than what we're used to seeing with, hundreds of fans screaming, everyone waiting for the picks, everyone, the analysts debating who's going to go here. I don't know how I feel about this.
I hope that it makes it watchable. I can't watch the NFL draft.
What?
We get 8 picks an hour. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I hope that cuts out all the unneeded stuff, and we just get the picks.
I love the NFL draft. I love watching the NFL draft more than I enjoy watching the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I
Wow.
love the draft.
Maybe it's because the only one you actually enjoyed, Richie.
What? Because the
One
Saints.
Super Bowl.
Because the Saints can't lose. Is that what it is?
Saints can't
They
win.
can
Like,
lose.
they
They can
won.
trade up or trade down. It's easy.
No, if you don't get to the Super Bowl, you can't lose the Super Bowl.
Hey,
All right, guys. So again, we will see you on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know when that episode's going to be up. But thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next episode.